Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode 159. I am your host, Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce the co-host. We have Marvin Bee from maninthevan.net. How you doing, Marvin?
I am coolly fantastic.
You got the AC on, don't you?
No, we got the windows open. That's how cold it is.
Nice weather. I got the windows open too, but it's 38 here. Also, we have from Michigan, Mike Slodowski from ControlAltDeleteRepair.com. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Not too bad, Jeff. How's it going?
It is going good. And you sound good on that Android phone.
Yeah, technology doesn't always work in my favor.
Also joining us from the great Grand Rapids area, John Dubinsky from MavenGroup.net. How you doing, John?
Doing great. 'Tis the season. Just thankful to be here, Jeff.
You know, we could, except for Marvin, we could call this the Michigan Connection.
Well, let B join the crew.
Hey, I've been to Michigan. I've seen I've been to Traverse City. Visited the Golden Bear Golf Course. Been to Dearborn.
It's not too far from me. Not too far at all. Well, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas as we're winding down the year. Let's talk about, Mike, why don't you go ahead and start us off with some of the things that you've been working on in your business.
Well, it's end of year. It's usually this is the slowest month. Last year we had no work orders in the whole month of December, which was good. This year I've at least got some work coming in, pretty steady flow here.
I think you muted yourself by accident.
Yeah. I've been reworking everything. We're switching accounting programs, changing our rates. We're raising our rates for next year, and we're just getting ready for for 2016.
What accounting program are you switching to?
We're switching from QuickBooks over to Wave.
Oh, okay. And why is that?
You know, I did some looking around, and I was looking at how much it was costing to use QuickBooks, and I'm not using half the features that they have offered in that system. And I basically just go in and do the invoicing, and maybe once or twice a month I balance all the rest of the expenses. So I wasn't really using half the features that they offered. And Wave is a good price. It's free, and it also does credit card processing through Stripe, so that was a huge bonus since we're already using the Stripe system.
Okay, yeah.
Some other things that we've also done is since last time I was on the show, is we completely dropped GFI Max Focus, and we switched over to Ninja RMM, which is going to be released in beginning of next year, I believe.
Nice. Now, where did you hear about Ninja RMM?
Well, I actually heard of it through Paco. I was having some issues with GFI, and Paco introduced it to me, and I called the guys over there, and it's been working great. I mean, it's a lot. I feel like it was easier to manage than GFI was. I don't feel like I'm babysitting the dashboard anymore. So that was one of my main reasons for switching as well.
I agree with you there, and I think John will second that as far as what he's been doing with the whole switch over, and we can talk about that in a second. John, go ahead and tell us what you've been up to in your business. And you've been kind of quiet for the last couple months. You've been busy. I talked to you on and off. You call me when you need help, but other than that, you're kind of disappeared off the face of the earth.
Well, I could probably pretty much say the exact same thing as Mike. Closing out the year, the things that have been keeping us busy, or me busy, is rolling out Ninja. I wanted to get our total infrastructure switched off of GFI and LogMeIn Central to the Ninja system prior to the end of year, so that has happened, so that's been great. The other thing is, it always seems like the beginning of December, everything starts to quiet down, and then mid-December, everybody calls and says, hey, can you do this before the end of the year?
Right.
So we've been trying to cram a couple of those in and saying no to a few that we have to say no to because I'm going on Christmas break as well, just like everybody else. But other than that, it's been great. Just sort of 'tis the season to be thankful, and been busy.
No, that's good. So now you did a big switch over to Ninja. You were using a couple other systems you'd kind of moved with that you were using in your business. I think F-Secure you were using for some of your management, and you had some other things in place. So you had a lot to move over. And
I
how
sort
was
of
that
had a
transition?
trifecta. I had some F-Secure, so LogMeIn Central, and
Okay.
some UEFI. So we took all that, little over 700 endpoints, and moved it all to Ninja.
Great. And how are you finding the interface?
Very good. Very good. Ninja's a newer company, so everything is not there yet. But just about the time I start to question or wish for a feature, it's already there. By the time I get around to it, they've been implementing and rolling out new features. I don't know, what would you say, every 2 weeks we get a new batch of stuff?
Oh yeah, it seems like the version number changes like daily almost.
Yes. So, and they've done that in a very nice way. The dashboard stays the same. The features show up. It's very easy to use. So it's been kind of a pleasure once the initial rollout was done. The bad thing about it is I did not have a way to automate that rollout, so I had to do a lot of it manually. That's what took so long.
Right. Well, and you have a lot more endpoints than the average user. So. All right. So Marvin, what have you been up to down in the great state of Florida with your business?
Well, I would have moved to Ninja had they returned the call. Actually, somebody called my office, asked for me. I wasn't here, did not leave any contact information, and so don't know where that's been. So I've not evaluated the Ninja yet, but I too was looking to make a change with my LogMeIn, my Max Focus, and I also have my own remote support appliance from our hub that I use for my unattended stuff. So looking to consolidate all of that. And for me, December does not slow down. And I have people that we've got some server installations we're trying to squeeze in. I actually have 2 companies that are moving between now and the end of the year, so that's fun.
Oh.
And yeah, it was a joy.
Yeah.
And
now, are they doing that because of now that they're taking the cost of that, it's end of the year tax time, and they can get that on this year's taxes instead of waiting until next year to do it?
No, a lot of it has to do with when their construction or build out finished.
Okay.
And they make plans, and then if it finishes early, then they're like, oh, well, we want to move early now. But I had somebody trying to move in last Thursday, but did not have their internet and phones ready, and so we managed to have them move that stuff around. Then it was supposed to be Saturday. Well, didn't work out, so now it's going to be tomorrow that they're moving. So
okay. Wow. Yeah. Talk about last minute. Wow.
Well, I'll second that as well. It always seems like we're the last guys in the building. They're laying the carpet, and then we roll in. So we always get to tail end of the schedule, meaning it's either late or early, based on the contractors and everything else. So
well, that's if they.
Yeah.
And this one, actually, I've been pushing them. This has been almost a year in the making, and I have pushed them and pushed them and pushed them. They actually wouldn't let us even be involved in the cabling. They had their own cable company. They had their own this. And when I went over, I actually went over Thursday to verify the internet at the new location. And so I went in and did that. And what I also did with my tester was I decided to let me do a quick test of all the network jacks. So I basically went right down the line, and I actually identified four jacks that were bad.
Wow.
And that would be your fluke tester, B?
That would be one of the fluke testers, yes. Not the big bad boy, but it's Junior. So the link runner,
sweet.
The link runner AT, and I'll describe that in another show. But that's a real nice tool. I mean, you can do some basic testing on jacks in about a minute per jack.
Now, how much does that expensive piece of equipment cost?
Well, there's a couple of different levels for that one, but the one that I would recommend is $1,500.
That's not. No, it does some other things outside of that too, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, that would not be the one I would recommend to start with. That's one, after you've gotten a couple of the other entry-level tools and you want to take a step up, or you're doing a bunch of big network jobs, that's where those tools come in. You can get by with like a link sprinter as an entry level. It does a lot of the same features. The link runner that I use also will be a reflector for network traffic. It will do some basic cable testing, and it will do some network testing. So it'll identify where it is on the network by telling you what port of a managed switch that you're on, all that sort of stuff. So,
Okay. Oh, that sounds good.
but it was nice because I had it, and I mean, literally, I mean, within 10 minutes, I had all the ports tested and identified the 4 bad jacks, and
Oh, there you go. You can't beat that.
so.
So that must mean the vendor did not have a tester themselves, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Which a lot of cable techs, I don't understand how they, call themselves professional. They don't. That's just insane.
I agree.
So they don't test anything after they're done. They cable it, leave the building, and hope for the best.
No, I think what happens is a lot of them will get the little $40, $50 testers, and all they do is test link connectivity.
Right.
So, it'll check pair 1 and 2, 3 and 4. But this particular vendor, I don't think even had that, because the 4 jacks that I noticed, I mean, they were just all over the place in terms of why they weren't proper.
Okay.
So, a lot of times they'll show connectivity, but they won't, verify for gigabit speed. That's usually what I run into the most. But in this particular case, these were simply wired wrong. So this vendor obviously did not go back and test. Maybe they were going to go back later and test, but the problem is Monday morning these people are moving in. So unless they're going to be there Monday fixing these cables, there's 4 spots that aren't going to work.
Okay. Now, can you go in behind them and fix that, or what do they normally have to do in a situation like that?
Well, I could, but I don't. It's not my job.
Gotcha.
So
Now you're sounding like the union. Okay.
well, it's one of those things where if I were to go in and mess something up worse, that I don't
Right.
want to be responsible for that. But I do want to, work with them and make sure everything's done right.
It would have been one thing if Marvin got contracted to manage the project, or if he was overseeing the project.
Correct.
Yeah.
That would have been one thing. But the other thing is you go in and you mess something up somehow, crimp a cable too short, then it doesn't reach, and then, I don't know, something weird happens. Now all of a sudden B's on the hook.
Yep.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we had that with a phone installation at the big job that I did with the fiber installation, where we got the fiber installed. We also extended the phones with a 25 pair cable, and a couple of the extensions weren't working, and the previous tech wouldn't go down and touch the phone system because he didn't do the expansion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I mean that's exactly the way it is. So if somebody else does a job, I'm not touching it.
Gotcha.
Just like if I do a job, I don't expect somebody to go in after me. I expect them to call me and say, "Hey, fix your stuff."
That's
yeah,
fair.
and if somebody wants to jump in and start using a fluke, I just, take a look at the Link Sprinter series. There's a lot of the. Is that me?
My goodness,
Is that me?
What's that?
Getting a lot of feedback.
the crazy
Yeah.
hacker type,
Yeah, somebody's typing really loud.
hacker typing.
Check out the Link Sprinter. Link Sprinter. You can get one of those for, I think, starting at around $100, but try to maybe look at the $300 one.
You want
That'll do a lot of the.
the 300 model. That's
Okay.
what you want.
That's a good place to start then. Okay, good.
That's
good
a
to
great
know.
place to start.
And $300 for a device that's going to help you out when you're managing networks and fixing them is going to save you a lot of time.
I almost promise you, the first time you really need it and use it, it'll pay for itself.
Right.
Easily.
Absolutely. Very good. All right, well, let's go into, we've got a couple emails, and then we'll get into, well, actually, let me go over one more thing before we go there, and then we'll go into a couple emails. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and go into the emails, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to change it up a little bit.
You know what?
You know what? No. All right, so this is from our friend Nick Shaw. He says, "Hey, Jeff, this might be worth a Podnutz mention. We've just announced that we're giving away D7 premium licenses for free." That's right, I said for free. Everyone can use D7 Premium fully unrestricted in features at no cost. This offer is valid for any number of technicians and free for both personal and commercial use. Now, this is the original D7, but believe it or not, there are still a lot of technicians that are using this tool in their everyday business. One that they used to have to pay for, and then they would have some sort of D-Cloud subscription, and he's doing some things with the people that have already paid for it in the past. They're going to be able to upgrade and stuff like that. But if you want to try D7 and kind of get your feet wet, grab this tool. I will have a link to the webpage in the show notes. You can download it, grab it, do what you want with it, try it out. Chris Carruthers, he's still using D7 in Instant House Call, and that's what he does 100% of his business with. That's how he fixes computers, virus removals and all that. So with that being said, there's still that tool is still a great tool to use, and then down the road, when you want to make it a little more yours, you can get the D7 too, and he's also coming out with another one later. So great tool. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but I'll tell you another thing too is you can usually follow Nick on Google+, and he will let you know. Sometimes him and his crew will do a video during the day at different times, and they will answer questions. You can go in there, ask a question about the product. They'll answer them. They'll help you out. Great group of guys, very helpful in that arena. There's a couple things that were put into D7 too that I was just chatting with Nick, and I said, hey, it'd be nice if this was here. And next thing I know around, he's sitting there typing away on his keyboard. In like 5 minutes later, he goes, how's this look? That's exactly what I was looking for. So that's how responsive. Now he's not going to be able to do that with everyone, but I'm just saying that he's very responsive. He listens to what people say, and there's going to be no more updates to D7 Premium, but you can use it as is, and it's still a great tool. So definitely check it out. This is a great starter place for a lot of people to start. All right, and thank you for that, Nick. Appreciate it. All right, this is from Dave Feist. He says, hey, Jeff, I found a couple of cool tools. One is called Driver Talent. Find your latest stable drivers. I'll have a link for that. The other one is, and I'm going to say this name, Tornado File Server, or Tonito, something like that. Very easy to use. With GFI, I can make a batch to download the customer's computer and install it. Great couple of tools there. He said, I came up with an idea this weekend that I hadn't thought of before. I'm doing the MSP thing right now, and I'm up to 115 people. Now, I was thinking about giving classes using TeamViewer, but this weekend an idea popped into my head. Why not offer a 1-hour class once every 2 weeks, free for all my proactive maintenance plan members? I have a niche here, niche here for the seniors, but why not expand it to include the U.S.? This week I'm switching to remote support only except for my proactive plan members. I'm running into a lot of new customers with major hardware issues. I put a lot of time on their systems and will only charge a flat rate, and then I never see them again. You know, the kind that are really tech savvy but can't fix the hardware issues. Anyway, I know you guys do the podcast live with video, and the people can chat with you during the show, and that's what I would like to do for my customers. What do you use? Hope you have a great week. Dave Feist. Dave, as far as I think it's a great idea to, number one, give those classes online. And as far as using a video, we use Google Hangouts on Air with our YouTube channel. The only thing we do a little bit differently is we do embed it into the Podnutz website so people can go there, and we have a chat module. But there's also a free chat module that's built into Google Hangouts on Air. You just have to click the little checkbox, and it'll be there. People can talk with you and participate right on your YouTube channel, and it works perfectly. Matter of fact, any technician that wants to do end-user videos, this is a great, free, inexpensive way to start out. Now, I say free, inexpensive. It's free as far as YouTube. You might need a little camera. They're about a decent webcam is going to be $69 in the U.S. Sorry, Canadians. And and a microphone, you can get a headset mic. You don't need anything expensive. You can get a $30 Plantronics, Logitech, Microsoft Live Chat. There's several out there that are around the $30 to $40 range. They work perfectly fine. Good audio because you don't have to worry about your mic technique. You can turn your head, and it doesn't matter where you're going. They will hear you, and that's kind of nice. Now, for a lot of people, if you want to step it up a little bit, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. Now, a lot of people ask me what earbuds I actually use, and they're actually clear earbuds that wrap around my ears, and I spent like $17 for them. I can't remember the name of them right now, but I spent $17 on Amazon for them, and they work fine.
Why don't you take that Santa hat off so people can see?
Oh, you know how you like the Santa hat. Don't be Santa jealous now. All right, so
Yes.
Those elf ears you're covering up.
Anyways, So yeah, that's a definite great plan, I think, and just use the Google Hangouts on air. And there's a ton of people that have online services that do webinars using Google Hangouts on air. As a matter of fact, I think Paco and Matt just had a person on the Computer Business Podcast, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, where they had somebody talking about webinars. Go back and listen to that episode. He tells you some of the things that he does, and that's what they do to help their business along. So I think it's a great idea. Any input from you guys?
Just don't have the problem like me, and 2 computers and the headset still won't work with the computer.
Yeah, well,
So that's why I get the Android phone out and pull up Google Hangouts.
Something to work. See, that's technology at its best. There's always something at hand.
Windows 10 and my headset apparently aren't compatible. Oh well.
What kind of headset do you have?
One of those Microsoft Live Chats.
Isn't that amazing? Now, did you do an upgrade or did you do a fresh install on those systems?
I did the upgrade, and then I did a system restore and wiped it all just for safety.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes the cheaper ones, they do kind of wear out. So sometimes the wires get bent a little bit. You don't ever see any physical damage, but there's times where I can grab the wire. And when I was hearing some crackling on yours earlier, that wire might be a little bit damaged, and that's why there might be a problem with that particular headset.
I'll be ready for the next show.
All right. And now, Marvin and John, I know you guys are so busy. Have you guys ever thought about doing any type of video?
With these good looks? Are you kidding me?
Have you ever thought about teaching your customers anything, or is that just not inside?
I try to teach my customers every time I get a chance to interact with them. So.
Do they listen?
But B will tell you how well that goes most of the time.
Never.
My philosophy is I will teach you how not to blow up your system, but I'm not going to teach you how to use it.
Good philosophy.
So, I'm not a trainer.
Yeah, there has been that whole model of, hey, can you show me how to do? I'm like, no. I'm here to manage your network, take care of your servers, and make sure stuff works. I'm not here to show you how to type.
Gotcha. Oh, very cool. All right, so with that, let's go into the main show. So basically, I wanted to let everybody know this has been a great year. 2015 has been awesome. Had a great time doing the podcast, meeting with a bunch of different people, making new friendships, communicating with people on a regular basis. This has been awesome for me. So I just want to let everybody know with a heavy heart, I regret to inform you that this will be the last show of the year. Just kidding. So now some of you people out there went, oh my gosh, no, and other people went, oh, thank God. So whichever you fall into, that's fine either way, but I just want to let you know. No, it will be the actual official show for the 2015. We will not do a show next Sunday, just so you're aware. We will be back on January 3rd. Yes, I'm not going anywhere. If you don't like me, I don't care. But anyways, just being honest. All right. So
what do you expect for free, right?
Exactly. If you want your money back,
what you pay for.
Yeah, except John throws me a little bit of money every once in a while. So no. So I want
to cab right home.
Patreon, baby, Patreon.
What I wanted to do, I wanted to tell you that my vision for 2016 coming up is to try to make this more of a community effort. A lot of people have asked for a lot of things, and a lot of things that they would like added to the show, maybe to enhance the show. And what I want to do is I want to call upon the community for that, and I want to go over just a few of the things that we might need over the next year, and that everybody in some form or fashion can probably help out with. And if we all work together, we're not all working so hard that we can't keep up. So one of the things is, and you guys are doing a great job with this, we get a lot of feedback on this show. Emails with questions and good or bad feedback. I read it all. I take it in. If it's bad, I sometimes don't care. But no, I do. I take everything in, and I take it to heart, and I look at it and see if there's something that I can help to improve the show. That's what I do. I'm always thinking about ways to improve the show. Now, it doesn't always come across in the show because I don't have the time to be able to do all that stuff. So keep the emails coming in. If you want to send me an email, just say, hey, Jeff, great job, or hey, Jeff, cruddy job. Send an email. At least I know that you're listening, and I do appreciate each and every one. The other thing, you can call in with questions, or you can join the conversation on the live show in the chat room. A lot of people ask questions in there. There's good back and forth that goes on. We get a lot of good interaction. And so it's a great way for us to get together. You can ask those questions on the fly, which is why the show was created. And I want to get it to a point where we actually get some more numbers coming in, some people calling and asking those questions so we can answer them on the air. That'll help. But we can do it via email, chat room, or live call on the air. I know some people don't want to talk online, but hey. The other thing is you can watch the show live and participate in the chat room, like I said. If you want to be on the live show or Podnutz Daily, and let me explain the difference real quick. Podnutz live call-in show is for computer repair business owners, technicians. It's a live call-in show where you can call in or send something in. We can answer the question live on air, and everybody can benefit from it. That's what we're here for. Podnutz Daily is more of the personal technician business owner that wants to either talk about their business or maybe a specialty topic. We've had Marvin on before talking about flukes. John's coming up. We're going to be talking about our search for MSPs in some of our searching for backups and what we've kind of come up with. So there's different shows that we can have out there. Or if you're a technician or a business owner that has a computer repair business and you just want to come on and tell about your business and maybe tell about some of the things that you do, that's what we want you to do. Real simple. I do this show every Sunday, this live call-in show every Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Okay, it's an hour and a half. We may cut that shorter. It all depends. But 4 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is send me an email. And please, if you guys want to be on the show, just send me a couple, 2 or 3 Sundays that you might be available, and I will fill in the calendar accordingly. What I get from a lot of people a lot of times, and I'm still thankful for you, is that you send in something, you say, hey, whenever you need me on the show, just let me know. And it's hard to really coordinate that. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to send me a couple Sundays that you might be available, and I will slide you in. You'll get a regular invite. I'll let you know ahead of time. It's real simple. We use Google Hangouts on air, have a headset, wired connection, all that kind of stuff. Podnutz Daily, I do every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can come on. Again, send me a couple Sundays that you might be available for a Podnutz Daily, and let me know which show you're interested in. And then if we need to chat offline or whatever on Skype or something like that, we can do that. Okay, so that's one of the things. Those 2 shows, I want to keep them going, and it helps when you guys help me by just saying, hey, I'm available. I'll be here on this Sunday, or I'm available on this Sunday, and we can get that set up for you. All right? Show notes. A lot of people have asked me, are you going to do better show notes? And to that I say, not by myself, I'm not. So with that being said, if there is somebody, and again, you have to have a passion for this. If somebody out there has a passion for writing and you want to take the information from this show that we do on Sunday and put it together in a nice little package format of what we talked about, doesn't have to be big or anything like that, and maybe take the links of the show and put them into pretty links, you know, so they look nice and neat and they're hyperlinked and all that, and send me that, then when I post the show on Thursday, I can add those show notes to the show notes, and we'll actually have show notes. Now, I'll be honest with you, from my standpoint, I never go to anybody's website and look at show notes. So I kind of look at them, yeah, it's great for if I need to reference links and stuff like that, but I don't do it a whole lot. So, but I understand a lot of you out there love having those links available. So if somebody's good at that and they want to help, this is a very free and inexpensive way to help. The other thing we need is if somebody wanted to, if you guys see up-and-coming businesses or you're working with up-and-coming businesses, like I've got a gentleman coming on tonight that's going to talk about a service he has. We've got Ninjas coming up here probably sometime in January. I've been setting that up since like August. If you know of businesses that are interested in actually coming on this show, or you want to contact them and see if they're interested, kind of make that connection. Because in the past, a lot of people sent me emails and said, hey, can you follow up with so-and-so? And a lot of times when I send those emails, they fall on deaf ears because they don't know who I am. But if you already have a rep inside the company, you can talk to that rep and say, hey, do you want free advertising on a show that'll get it out to, right now, about 1,800 listeners? We've got about 1,800 unique downloads per episode. If you want to get that out to these listeners for free, then get in contact with this guy and set up a Sunday at 8 p.m. that you can get with them, because I'm going to record those shows at the same time too. And if I need to make some adjustments on that for some of the companies during the week and stuff, I'll be able to do that. But at least if I have you guys starting off, that would be awesome. That would really help out a lot. And if somebody wanted to come on and that's all they wanted to do was coordinate with companies because they're good at talking to people, send me an email. Let me know. And again, a whole lot of this stuff is not going to change in the show. I just want to make it better for everybody involved. And that's what we're really trying to do here. Okay, so those were the free ways, totally free, that you could support the show. Now here's the paid ways you could support the show. Number one is you can support the whole Podnutz network, which we have a bunch of great shows on here. Go check them out at podnutz.com. But you can use our Amazon affiliate link, podnutz.com/Amazon. Every time you go there, just go podnutz.com/Amazon, or like me, I have it saved as a tabbed favorite on my browser. So whenever I go to Amazon, which I buy a lot of stuff off Amazon, Podnutz is getting a kickback for that. Okay? And there's no money out of your pocket. Again, actually, this is another free way, other than putting in the URL, that you can support the whole Podnutz network. Now, that supports all the things we're doing with websites and all that kind of stuff. So some of the equipment and different things that are given and all that. So that's one way. Another way, if you want to support this show, because regardless of what everybody thinks, there actually is incurred costs when you do this, even when you're part of a network. So you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/computer repair podcast. And you can support, you can pledge, I think it's a minimum of $1. So you could pledge a minimum, or you can pledge per show, or however you want to do it. I think you can pledge per show $1, and then what you do from there is, I think you can go maximum of whatever. It could be $1 a month, and you'll never get charged more than that. So effectively, it would come out to 25 cents a show if we do 4 shows a month. Costs you $1. If everybody did that, we could do some prize giveaways. We could do some more things on the network that I think would be fun on this particular show, and just have fun with it. We could upgrade some of the equipment and do some of the things that we want to do to get a little bit better at what we do. Okay, this is not necessarily about making money, but it is about supporting each other as a community, so we can, if we need to get something and test something out to see how it works, then we're able to do that, instead of everybody coming out of pocket and, oh, let me try this, let me try that. And I think that would go a long way.
Hey, Jeff, do you know if the Amazon link works for our friends in Canada or UK or any of that?
I don't think we have any of those set up as of this point. So I will talk to Dor and ask him where we're at with that. I know he was looking to set some of that stuff up, so I'm not 100% sure right now, but I can check the network master, and he can probably tell me. So I'll definitely come back with that information. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, John.
I would like to add.
Somebody in the chat asks. So.
What's that?
Somebody in the chat asks. That's
okay. And Mike, what were you gonna say?
I would like to add. I mean, I've been listening to Podnutz for a while, long time, about a year maybe. That's not that long, but I was nervous about coming on. I started with the Podnutz Daily, and I was nervous the first time. This is now my 4th show that I've done, and it has helped a lot. I'm not nervous now, especially when you're working with a group of people. It's a lot easier, and it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot. And if you've learned a lot from the show, I highly recommend the giving a little bit back to it, because I've learned a ton from just listening to these podcasts.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike, because I try to make it as easy as possible, and that's the other thing, too. I'm glad you brought that up. Podnutz Daily is not a live show. So it's just you and me, or me and whoever, over Skype, chatting. We record it. I put it out. It's a nice conversation. It's easy. And it's a great way to get yourself started. Then when you feel comfortable and you want to come on a live show, now you can come on a live show. Now, a lot of people out there, they're probably ready to come on a live show in Podnutz Daily. I like Podnutz Daily as far as a starter, just so people get a chance to know you, know a little bit about your business, know how you do things, and learn from you that way. So, But I've also had people contact me and say, hey, can I come on the live show? And I talk to them and say, yeah, no problem. And we'll send them a link out and we'll get them on the show. So that's open to everybody. So, yeah, there's no. Now, I mean, obviously, if there's bad audio where I can't get a great recording out of it or something like that, there might be situations like that. But I'm going to give everybody the benefit of being able to come on the show and share what they want to share. And how many times, and I've said this in the past, but how many times you've been sitting there listening to a podcast and you go, well, I would have done it this way. Or, well, I do it, oh, that's a good idea, but I wonder if they thought about this. Well, this would be your way that you can interact with the show. And I know it's hard sometimes. I was horrible at sending emails and responses to people when I was listening to other shows. I'm trying to get better at that because I want people to know that information that I'm really interested in and the people I'm really interested in, I want them to know that they have support. And sometimes just that email, I can't tell you how many times where I read an email, and most of them are positive. There's very few negative ones, but when I'm a little down in the dumps or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, it's a lot of work. It's just tiring. I don't know if I can keep this up. And then I'll get that email where somebody goes, man, you really helped me out, and I really appreciate it. And I just go, I can keep going. I can keep doing this. Because let's face it, we're all human. Things happen, life happens. We have family and all that kind of stuff. I spend a lot of time doing this stuff, but I love the community. I love what we do, and I want to learn from other people, and hopefully somebody can learn something from me. So that's the reason why I do the show, and that's the reason these other gentlemen and women come on the show to share their knowledge and to teach us and help us. So, any other things?
And Jeff doesn't bite when you email him.
Marvin, as far as the Ninja thing, I do have a contact. If you need me to get a hold of him, I can make that happen.
All right. And I will speak for Chris, who's not here, in the language of Carruthers. I don't learn anything from you guys.
That's funny.
Thanks, man.
That's funny.
Awesome.
Oh, he's going to hate me for that.
Poor Chris. Chris is not here because the poor guy has the flu. And I don't know if this is again or I don't know, but man, the last couple months have been really rough on the guy. So
we should send him some American drugs to get rid of that thing.
Is that what?
Maybe some laws against that.
Is it the free health care that's getting them?
Get what you pay for, just like this podcast.
That's right. All right. So with all that being said, I'm sorry I went on, but I really wanted to bring that out to you guys, and I really wanted to tell you my heart and just tell you my desire for this show moving forward into 2016. And especially since there's going to be a break here, so I just want to get some stuff ready, and I want to be able to prepare some more things so that you guys have the information that you need. And I get a lot of that information from what you guys send me. When you ask me a question about something or you call me out on something, I get some information from that, and I'm able to bring it to the show. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But with all that being said and me dribbling on and on, let's talk about our main subject for today. This is the first time in 65, I think the 65th episode, live episode we've done. The first time in the 65th episode that I've come up with a title before we started. Here it is. Is MSP dead? Yes. And that's link bait material right there, but I was sitting, this is no lie, I was sitting at work on a high-low, and I'm sitting here listening to podcasts, and I gotten a magazine from Channel Pro, and one of the things is there's an article in there from our friend Vince at CompTIA, and it's called The Break Fix Empire Strikes Back. And so I'm sitting there, I read the article, I went to work, I'm driving around on a high-low, and I'm thinking, and I sit there and I go, is MSP dead? And I just started chuckling. It was just funny. I just found it very, very funny. Because for the last however many years that people have been doing this, a lot of people in the past at least 5 years have been hearing, is Break Fix dead? Break Fix is dead. Break Fix is no more. And here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. If you've been around this industry for a while, you'll begin to understand that, number one, Break Fix has never been dead. it's never really slowed down. Now, a lot of people have tried to change from break fix to MSP, but the thing is, there's very few and far between actual 100% MSP companies. They're not. Most companies, and even the guys there at CompTIA, admitted on stage that they're all hybrids. They do a little bit of break fix. They do a little bit of MSP. And I think that's smart business. You want to diversify yourself. And Vince even says in the article, one of the things he says is that he makes 80% margin on his break fix versus his MSP. And from running a residential MSP, I will tell you that technically, if you think about it, you have to think about this long term. It's kind of like stocks. Technically, dollar per hour, you're actually probably losing money until you build that clientele up. Then it starts to make a little more sense. But in the beginning, when you're starting off, it's hard because you're like, wait a minute, I could do a break fix for this every time they need it and make more money than what I'm charging them per month. So you got to kind of weigh those things. I know there's a person in our community right now that what they do is they will go out and they actually, with their customer base, every 3 months they do a tune-up / virus removal. They clean that computer up. So they're getting paid 4 times a year for that one computer. 4 times. When he told me that, I was like going, man, I am leaving a lot of money on the table. So do I really want to do this MSP thing? Now, with that being said, I don't know if everybody read the article. We will definitely have a link in the show notes. It's on the Channel Pro magazine page. I'll have a link in there, and you guys can go read that article. It's very interesting. There you go. Marvin's showing it on the screen. For those that are just listening, he's showing the magazine. If you don't get Channel Pro, it's a free magazine. Anybody can get it. Go to channelpro.com and sign up. I think it's Channel Pro. Yes. ChannelProSMB.com. Looks like. Okay. Anyways, Marvin, what do you have to say to that? Because the whole Man in the Van initiative started with what Vince had said on stage at CompTIA about Man in the Van. Man in the Van was taking away his business.
Well, let's first start by saying that this all cannot be attributed to Vince. And Vinny. Not. So, please, Vinny, we're not taking shots at you. But yeah, it's part of the whole MSP movement for the last 10 years. I don't think it's necessarily MSP in particular, but I think it's this whole thing of being able to manage customers without having to talk to them or without having to touch the equipment. And
right.
I mean, because I know a lot of techs even around here, they just don't want to work on computers anymore. They want to do the big stuff. They want to do all the fancy stuff. They want to remote support and manage servers from across the country and stuff like that. A lot of the things that the managed services industry has been pushing us to, where we can manage endpoints without ever having to go on site and see them. I've never really embraced that 100% because I found that it works better to see my customer every now and then. Because if you don't see them, then it just simply becomes a matter of price. That they'll just find, well, who can charge me the cheapest amount of money and do the same thing.
Right.
Or if somebody does pop in and show their face and send them cookies at Christmas time or whatever, and say, hey, we can do this for you, and you know what? You'll see us. We're not some no-name company, that you'll never see. So I've always embraced the hybrid model where I do charge my customers kind of like a baseline fee for managing as much as I can remotely, and then I will charge the premium or hourly fee for stuff that falls outside of that scope. So if it's not just a standard, if we've got to do an installation or an upgrade, that's going to be an extra charge. We're never going to get away from break fix as long as things break.
Right, exactly.
Because, even for me, it's all business customers. Somebody's got to go on site and set up that computer. We can't expect the end user to always be able to set it up, connect it to the network, connect it to the domain, troubleshoot. Hey, my cable says I'm not connected. I mean, somebody's physically got to be on site to do that for the customer.
Right.
For servers on site, I don't want my customers walking into the server room and pulling stuff apart and things like that. So from that standpoint, that's kind of how I see it. I think that to do IT right, it's got to be a hybrid. It's just got to be everything, and you can't pick one or the other and survive.
I think somewhere along the line, somebody forgot what managed services are. Managed services are to manage those services that don't need your hands-on, things you can automate. So your patching, virus updates, any task you can automate with a script, a batch, some sort of anything that you can automate. That's what managed services are for, to take all that time that you would spend manually doing that stuff and pull that off your list of to-do items, so that I could automate something to happen on some PC or group of PCs. Like I manage scripts that hit all 700 of my PCs at the same time, so I don't have to do it. That's what managed services are for. Managed service, just like B said, can't change the battery in a UPS, can't replace the failed, so there's always that break. So you got to go hit the road, go say hi to your customers. What do they say? Press the flesh, stay in front of them, and that's what managed services are for.
Because I
manage
think
those things.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the point that, okay, let's say you do a traditional, I am only an MSP, and you don't do any of that hardware stuff, any of the fixing, any of the virus removals, then you're going to either hire another company that's going to work with you, or they're going to get another company that goes and touches that stuff, which is probably going to end up taking your customer. So from that standpoint, it just seems like you have to have a little bit of both, because the whole point of managed services, in my opinion, is to have that relationship with the customer where you can help them on an ongoing basis. Because let's face it, if they're having a lot of problems and you're charging them a monthly rate, on that particular customer you might be losing a little bit of money. But the other customers that you have on that same managed service plan, they're sitting there, they don't have any problems this month. So you're kind of playing that game a little bit with, okay, is this worth it? And again, I am all about recurring. I think you need to have some sort of recurring revenue in anything you do. That's the only way that you can win in this world.
Well, the managed service, your RMM platform should also help you plan for those things, meaning to be proactive.
Right.
The things that probably kill most techs are when you get the 2 calls for 2 emergencies at the exact same time, especially if you're a solo tech or don't have a partner organization that you deal with that might farm somebody out to do something. So your managed services should make you more proactive, to let you know when there's some sort of infection or hard drive failing or servers offline or that kind of stuff, so that you can be notified. And that's the kind of things you set up. So you can be notified, like the internet's down at a particular location, and then maybe you have your phone set up to get that notification in the middle of the night, so it does wake you. So that maybe you roll out of the rack an hour early and go fix that before anybody gets on site. So you didn't have the emergency call. You look like the hero. And of course, your clients are paying you for this kind of service too.
Right.
So keep that in mind. You're not giving this to them for $35. These are,
Yeah, and that's a very valid point. Yeah, if you're paying good money for being protected like that, then it's worth it for both sides. It's worth it for you to do it, and it's worth it for the customer to have that instantaneous, I'm going to be there to take care of you.
And you can balance that price based on your clientele. It doesn't have to be ultra expensive, but just don't give it away, so that you've got that load of stress on your back that you might just need to roll out of the rack at 3 in the morning on Sunday to go fix something. Just keep that in mind when you price that. And then once you add more clients, that may happen more often. So how often are you going to want to do that?
Right.
So,
and yeah, tier your pricing for that, and that's what it is. And for the customers, that want you to be available 24/7, obviously that's a premium price. Or
Right.
you extend the rate for after hours. And I mean, the perfect example of what John was talking about, I've had customers in the last month. I've had one where, we use the open mesh routers for the Wi-Fi, and I had one 4 hours away that just went offline in the middle of the day. I get a little email. I call the customer up and said, hey, the Wi-Fi in your conference room is down. Did somebody, unplug it or move it? And they're like, oh, let me go check. And they came back. Oh, okay, yeah, it was hit, and it's back up. and those are the types of things. I had another customer where their server went down because their battery backup failed. You know, so on a Sunday morning, I get a notification. I call them. They can run to Office Depot, get another battery backup, put it in, get the server back up, and they're up and running Monday morning. Now, could I have gone to that customer and did that for them? Probably. For some of the customers where I have access to their buildings, I do that. This customer I didn't, but I called the owner. He went in, got it up. He was so happy that they didn't walk in to work Monday morning with nobody being able to work, calling me in a panic. You know,
right along that line, the other thing you want to keep in mind too is what type of customer are you dealing with? Meaning, if you have a retail customer that runs a retail location, so they're open 7 days a week, maybe from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or right now in the Christmas rush, you know. Great example of this is I just had a customer that has 6 different retail locations, all in mall kiosks in Michigan, and 2 of their credit card machines went down. One happened to be right next door to Jeff, so I called Jeff and I said, hey, can you run over and plug these IP addresses in the credit card machine? Because I couldn't for the life of me get them to do it over the phone. So Jeff's, you know, got an easy hour of billing or so plus, and it saved me 5 hours of driving, but so I kind of had that, and Jeff and I had talked about that in the back of our mind before. Plus, the customer knew, even though they're a contract client, that contract doesn't cover all these kiosks for the Christmas season. So you got to take that into mind, because you might have a doctor's office or an orthodontic office that's only open 3 or 4 days a week. That's a lot easier than a 7-day-a-week, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. client that might call you on Sunday when you're sitting down for dinner. So just keep that in mind, too.
Right. That's a good point.
Or an attorney that's going to trial Monday morning, but he can't get to the remote server to get his trial notes.
Exactly. Those are all just like you think about protecting their network. You got to be thinking about protecting your business from them.
Yep.
And even your personal life and your stress life. That's important.
Exactly. That's a good point. Hey, Mike, what types? Now you're just getting kind of into the MSP thing. You've been dabbling in it for the last year or so, correct?
I've been doing MSP for about 1.5 years, 2 years now. We got about 60 endpoints that we manage, 2 servers, and the rest are all workstations.
So what do you think about this whole, is MSP dead?
I don't think MSP is dead. It's, I mean, recurring revenue is great for any business. I mean, especially like last year when we had no work orders in December. I mean, the managed service plans were a great asset to the business. But and like they said, they're you can't just do a managed service plan only. You got to do a hybrid. Like we got a couple of big business clients. If we step foot onto their property to do any kind of work, it's hourly invoice. They get a little bit of a discount, but from the full price, but it's hourly. And we find that to be a good method. Is the hybrid method.
Gotcha. Okay. Now it's the call-in number is 1-888, and you're covering it up with your chat little thing. 697-0162. Anyways, no. So it's great to have the recurring revenue, but you didn't see when you started doing the MSP model, you didn't see break fix go away, did you?
No, break fix has never gone away.
I love how you say
it's funny you say it that way because if you kind of want it to go away, just raise your prices on your break fix.
There you go.
You'll find that you'll lose a lot of those bad clients, but you'll probably make more on break fix, and then you can focus more on the MSP if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. So now a couple things in this article. One of the things that was said was, once upon a time, of course, break-fix bids that were the norm, but over the last decade, momentum within the SMB channel has been solidly in the direction of managed services billed at a monthly rate. Now, there was somebody in a couple magazines ago, I didn't read this article, but he basically said, the managed services fixed-fee support model is a relic of a different, albeit not so long ago, time. And he was talking about on-demand billing is a better fit than recurring rates for an age in which cloud computing vendors like Amazon and Google are making long-term commitments a thing of the past. And so here's somebody a couple months ago. Now, we've been hearing from different people in the industry. They'll tell us that all they've been hearing for the last 10 years is break fix is dead. To which I said, no, it's not. Break fix has never died. Break fix has really never slowed down. Now, some people might have transitioned, but they've still had break fix like these guys are talking about. Still physical things that have to be done. There's still virus removals that have to happen. Those virus removals aren't, I'd love an automated virus removal program. Are there some good ones out there that can automate my tasks? Absolutely. Are they going in and manually looking at making sure that all the virus is out of there? Absolutely not. And from a lot of these guys' standpoint, yes. So they make a mirror image of the systems, and they'll just do a reload. No big deal. But guess what? That's still not an automated task. Somebody has to start and finish that and make sure that it works right. Those things are always there. They never go away.
And somebody has to be on site if you cannot connect remotely.
Yes, that's a good point. So one of the things that, and that's why I laugh, because and he's not the only one who thinks that hourly billing is making a comeback. There has never been a MSP. There has never been like an MSP switchover, and there hasn't been a hourly billing slowdown.
Well, I think the fallacy is people thought, or a group of people, or certain individuals, or I don't know how you want to name it, thought, well, we'll just take our hourly billing client and switch everybody to MSP, and they'll be so happy, and we'll be happy. Right. You know, that can be a tough sell depending on what you're trying to sell that into, especially at a lot of the prices that a lot of the MSP people want to charge. You know, for a small business, if you go in there and say, well, it's $200 per endpoint per month, they're going to kind of look at you like you're crazy, right, compared to what they've been probably paying you hourly now. So
that, and the fact that for a long portion of the last 10 years, they were requiring contracts for a year. And a lot of customers didn't want that.
Right.
You know, even if the prices were at a level that they were okay with, they didn't want to be locked into a contract. And I'll say my second biggest client, it's somebody that could have gone with an MSP that was wanting to charge them X amount of dollars per device per month, and they said they didn't want that, and that's how I got them.
Right, and that's a good point right there, because that's a lot of what's been going. And that's one of the things they say in the article, is that some of these people are coming in with the break fix model, so to speak, the hourly billing, and people, because they don't see necessarily the need for some of the higher end stuff. And the other thing they were talking about is there's a lot less on-prem servers. So when you're taking on-prem servers off the plate, there's less things to do, so you really have to justify. Now, there are ways to justify what you're doing for a business. You can give them reports and show them the things you've been doing behind closed doors that has made their systems run. And somebody even made a comment in the article. They said, listen, if that doesn't work, put them back to an hourly rate, and they'll be back on the managed service plan in a short period of time.
That's a great point, because I think a lot of it has to do, you know, are you just dipping your toe in the water with this client? Meaning, are you just replacing the power supply once in a while, or helping them print once in a while, or are you actually helping them manage their IT infrastructure, meaning digital planning like HIPAA, PCI compliance, managing their router, you know, doing all these intricate things. So yeah, if they don't want to go on a managed service plan or retainer or some sort of contract per month, yeah, put them on hourly. And if they still want help with all these individual items, I think you're right. They'll be running back to you sooner or later, just because the hours will add up very quickly. And I would say stop, because you may not want to put them on a plan if you're making a load of money hourly.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If somebody is more comfortable with paying an hourly rate, let them do that. Because here's my opinion. As far as the managed service plans, you're managing the services so that your customer has as best a possibility of having uptime as possible, and you have a recurring revenue coming in. So it's a win-win situation. But if that person doesn't see the benefit of that, because it long-term, like I said, until you build up your clientele base, long-term you could actually be losing money. Because like I gave you a prime example. There's a technician that takes his customer base and he charges them for cleanups 4 times a year. And he gives them a $10 discount for them because they do them every 3 months. So he's making, on my managed, compared to what I charge my customers for managed residential managed services, he's actually making a lot more money than I am per instance. Now he's getting the same benefits because, in my opinion, at 3 months' time, that's when things start to get a little squirrely. there's some cruft built up on the software side, and there's some different things that are going on where they really kind of, at a 3-month point, they need to clean up on the thing anyways. And so he's catching it before it gets to the point of no return where they're basically having to do a nuke and pave.
And frankly, it can be a personality thing too. There might be just some people that an MSP is not a good fit because they'll take advantage of it to no end.
Right.
Unless you have some sort of 100-page contract that actually details every little item that you will ever do for them.
Right. Well, yeah.
So you got to be, and maybe that's not the kind of client you will, but then we can get into that whole conversation of, are you in a place or a point where you can choose the clients you want to deal with? So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So.
To answer the question, no, MSP is not dead, but I don't think, and Break Fix is back, but I don't think either one of them have ever been dead or ever. So
that's my whole point. Neither one of them is going anywhere. Everybody pretty much is going to have a hybrid solution. Now there are actual true MSP companies that is all they do is the network, software, remote infrastructure. They do not actually touch a piece of hardware. If you are touching hardware, you, in my opinion, are not a true MSP. You're an MSP. You're a computer repair shop, for crying out loud. Let's just put it where it is. Stop.
I used to do that. I mean, that's where a lot of the first work I got or tech work I got when I started was working for those companies where they would manage like the restaurants, but I'd be the lackey that would go in and replace the printer, the POS printer, plug it in, make sure they could connect, and I'd walk out the door. Or the printer, or replace the power supply. But there was some other big company that was doing all the management. I was just the lackey going in, boots on the ground.
Exactly. There you go.
Yep.
Military term for those people that don't know. So, Mike,
there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No, I agree. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's my whole point of this podcast today. Is I really want to bring it to the forefront of. I've heard a lot of people over the last year basically say, I'm getting away from break fix, I'm going into full managed services. And it's like, I'm sitting there in the back of my mind, I'm biting my tongue because I'm trying to be a nice guy, but the reality is that's not true. There's not a whole lot of truth to that.
Are they making that business decision? That's where they're taking that organization. And Mike, I'm going to pick on you if it's all right, but let's say B says he's going to be a managed service provider, but Mike's still the guy that likes to turn the wrench. Maybe, Marvin calls Mike and says, Mike, I'm dispatching you out here. Can you take the call for me because I'm not the boots on the ground? I've replaced enough power supplies in my 35 years of service. So, your turn, Mike, or something like that. That's fine. It's just got to be a business decision. But if you think you're going to do an MSP and still do everything just as you'd been doing the month before, that's not going to happen. I think that's what you're getting at, Jeff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what do you think about this whole? I mean, have you ever in your business really tried to make a transition in thought? Because a lot of people did, and don't feel bad if you did. But have you thought, hey, I'm going to move everything to an MSP so I can manage services, not touch anything, and just sit there and the money's just going to shower in on me?
It'll never work that way. I mean, here's the thing with the business. I mean. We have a lot of managed service. Well, for me, it's a lot of managed service clients. But if we were to not do come on site and fix things, we wouldn't know our clients as well and know what they needed. And a lot of our business is trust-based relationship. And I know all of our clients that are on our maintenance plans. And we do. And it's one of those things. I mean. They trust me to let me into their computer, or all of them do, so I don't think I could ever be a true managed service provider fully without being able to go on site every now and then and take care of something, or, sometimes they need help with something, hooking up something. I mean,
that's what you're there for. You're there for their IT support needs.
Yes.
That's our job. Our job is to create that relationship where they come to us for everything. Yes, we get paid accordingly, whether it's in a managed service position or an hourly rate, but we come to get paid, but also to help them out with whatever they need help with. Because, as I've said before, people should concentrate on building widgets or taking people to court or whatever it is they do, and stop worrying about trying to be a jack of all trades in fixing their own computers when they screw it up most of the time. Crickets.
Crickets.
I think that's what I've been trying to teach my customers for the last 20 plus years. Just let me do the IT. You fix the teeth, doc, or whatever like that. Something like that.
So one of the last things in this article said, there are worse fates than becoming a break-fix provider again. Again, I just think some of the rhetoric that is in this article is just not true. As far as it's not about what's said, it's about the thought process. It's about the attitude behind what is said, and it's about this thing that the industry. And let me just be point blank honest. There's a lot of people in this industry that are ahead of some of these different entities that we're all a part of. And to be honest with you, those people I would not let touch my computer to save their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is I don't know a lot of times if they know what they're talking about or if they just come up with this stuff and say, this is good information to give out to people. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stop people from getting a lot of misinformation and just go, hey, it's okay to be a hybrid. It's okay to do business the way you want to do it. That's all right. There's no problem with that. Don't feel bad. Don't feel less than. Do what you're good at and keep with that.
Well, I'd say it's like anything. If I would use a military reference again, I don't know Vince, who it looks like wrote this article, but he could be in upper management, and then just like in the military, a lot of times the officers have no idea what's going on in the trenches. So, he might be looking at this at a management perspective with the numbers, and he talks about in the article his pricing and his 80% and, some other things where he feels he's making a lot more money by going back to the break and fix. And I think a lot of that doesn't equate to being a solo tech. Being a solo tech myself now and then having also been a manager, everything changes once you bring on that first employee, and I think he can attest to that as well because I know he used to have a gaggle of employees as well.
Right.
When you become a manager, you got to hang up some of your tech belt because then you become more of a business builder and an employee manager. So, things kind of change and you take on a different focus of what you're focusing on. And you probably don't turn the wrench as much because depending on how many employees you have, at least I didn't when I had a bunch of employees. So the other aspect I would bring down to earth on that is do what you love. If you can make money and you like replacing the screens or getting your hands dirty doing the keyboards and doing that, do that. Who cares? You don't have to be an MSP just because it's trendy.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
That's true.
Now, one of the things that at the end of the article, and this wasn't all Vince, guys. Just so you know, this was not. It was just a couple of quotes that he had talked about how some people are coming in and winning the hourly billing rate bids versus his managed service plan that he was trying to get to the customer, and so he goes back and he asks the company for that information with the customers blanked out so that he can kind of look and engage what's going on in his business to figure out what he needs to change. Or if he needs to change anything, or if it's just what's happening.
And I see he's the CEO of Anchor.
Yes.
So, he's probably getting from his, lower management or whatever, asking, well, why are we losing these deals? And why are we not closing this business? And why? He's asking the whys that any smart CEO would ask.
Right, exactly.
So, he's getting the information passed up to him. So I don't think anything in the article he says is wrong. I'd agree with you. Some of the terminology or the way it's presented kind of makes it feel like they're digging on the guys turning the wrenches. But really, that's where the money starts. Got to put the cables in the wall before you make any other money.
Exactly.
So.
Well, remember, I think that part of what we're looking at too is also the audience in which they're speaking to, and for somebody in his position where he's got several techs, and they're going after business. And I think that for most of us that are listening live right now or paying attention in the Podnutz community, those are avenues that we're trying to get to. And, even when I had my techs, I would not have considered, trying to go purely MSP. Just because of the market that I was in, the customers that I had. I think it depends on the audience. Now, most of us, I think, are going to be, the techs turning the wrenches. We're going to try to add MSP into our business so that we can support our customers better, be a little bit more, efficient with what we're doing. All the things such as, that we talked about earlier, the virus updates, the monthly Microsoft updates, even the things of router management, Wi-Fi management, all of those things that we can include in a managed plan. It's not that we become a managed services company. It's just that it makes us more efficient.
Good, yeah, that's really good.
Well, yeah, it just sounds to me like Vince is doing what all smart CEOs do. He's just letting the numbers lead him. He's looking at the information he has and making sound decisions on based on what he sees happening around him, based on his customer mix, his return on investment, and what in the direction he wants to take his company. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yep. And when you do hit a certain level, and Doobie, and I think you and I have been there where, or at least I have, I know that I get to a certain point where there are certain types of customers I'm not going to support anymore because they don't fit my model. So, in terms of if they don't have a server, or X number of workstations, or a, centralized, database management or something that I can manage on the network for them, that's not the customer I want. That's not my model anymore. And I think that what happens is a lot of these companies that have made the jump to MSP are either trying to get to that point where they're not, I don't want to make it just simply, residential versus business, because I don't think that that's, there's so many different models that you can do. But, the types of customers that you want to see, are the customers that, are going to fit your model. Business customers fit my model.
Right.
And that's where I'm at.
Well, Jeff, you and I talk about this all the time. You being more on the residential side and me definitely being more on the business side. We just talked about this today where, just about every PC that comes on your bench, Jeff, is probably different.
Yeah.
Meaning a different brand, a different model, probably has a lot more data on an individual endpoint because of music and videos and kids and games. I probably, if it's on my bench, is a Dell Optiplex or a Dell Latitude, period. It probably doesn't have more than 150 gigs of data on it, probably, because everything's on a server. So, there are a lot of differences. And some for good, some for bad. So in some aspects, it'd be easier to manage a business repair than it would a retail repair, because you never know what's going to come through your door.
Exactly.
So, good point, B.
Yeah, and so I think what we're all saying is do what you love to do, grow your business as you go, figure out smarter ways to do things, and use some of the things that you're learning from some of these bigger companies of what they're doing. But I don't necessarily think you need to be all in on one or the other. I think you can build a hybrid approach. I think if you get to a certain point where you want to weed out some of the customers that are not good for you and you want to bring in some other customers, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. That's going to help you and keep your mind focused on what it is you want to do. But what I'm cautioning people is don't be swayed about what you hear from other people in the industry. Even what we say, go and research this stuff yourself. I have a pretty good ear for a lot of this stuff. When I hear something and I go, yeah, it don't sound quite right, let me go ahead and research why I don't think that sounds right. And we'll figure out if that's true or not and then move from there. So, yeah, it's a great subject. We've got a caller that has called in, so we're going to go ahead and take that call. We're getting down to the end of the show, so let's go ahead and do that. Hey, welcome to Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great. And who are you?
My name is Brett Hansen, and I just started a computer repair business in Chino, California.
Nice. Good to meet you. I've met you virtually online, I think, in the Google Plus forums there on Podnutz, and good to meet you on the phone. So what was your question for the day?
My question mainly was, I just got a little office in the back of my grandmother's backyard, and it's going to be my starting point. I don't know where to start. I mean, I'm looking at maybe making a bench, doing my networking, just doing everything I can, and I don't really know if there's stuff that I'm missing, if there's stuff that I'm not thinking of, and that's basically what I'm thinking.
Gotcha. So Marvin.
I'll go first.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. John, did you have something to say? Go ahead, John. How's your setup, John?
Well, my first thing is, are you just starting out, or do you have a couple of customers already?
I have about 2 or 3 customers. That's it.
Well, if I was to lead anybody into what they need, I mean, you'd get a good list of everything if you went back through the show notes on any of these podcasts or the previous podcasts as far as tools and all that. But I think from experience, I would tell you to buy the items you need when you need them. Meaning, since you can probably get it overnight cheap, that I wouldn't go out and buy, let's see, a drive toaster, a fluke tool, a brand new $500 screwdriver set, and all that kind of stuff, until you have the customers, to do that or need that, because it's easy to get the tool when you need it right away. Now, we all need the basics.
Well,
you need to have a basics. You need to have a basics.
I have a Tektron little screwdriver set. I have an Anchor toaster, and that's
high five. Yeah, you're.
That's software.
Now, you're doing mostly home, or are you trying to break into residential or a business?
Actually, I'm trying to do business a little bit more. I like the residential. I like meeting people. I like talking to people. I like going to their place. But the business just seems a little bit more easier for me to accomplish the things that they need. And it's easier for me to explain things to them.
Now, the other thing that when I first started, one of the things I did is I actually had a pool table down in my basement. It was an old pool table. But anyways, I had a table that I put over the top of that. And what I would do is I had old CRT monitors back then. Yes, I'm dating myself. And I would put those CRT monitors. Those are the big ones with the fat tubes. They weigh about 500 pounds a piece.
I like this.
What's those?
And what I would do is I set up 2 of those with a keyboard and mouse, so that when a person at the time, a lot of people were bringing in desktops. So the desktops would come in, and I would hook up to those monitors and do whatever I needed to do with them. So I had those set up on that table or bench or whatever you want to do. Now, as far as nowadays, I don't get a whole lot of desktops. It's mostly laptops for me. So when I do have a desktop, I've got one monitor, sits in my closet, and it's got a keyboard, mouse, and all the connections, VGA, DVI, and these are just old things that I bought years ago that I just had laying around. That's what I use. I use a lot of stuff that, because I was already building and working on my own stuff, I just took the stuff that was extra that I wasn't using and used that as a setup for my business.
Actually, it's funny you mention that, because that's basically what I'm using now. As far as, I have an old PC that I'm running Windows 10 on. I have a 24-inch monitor. I have another monitor, and I'm in a 4x6 closet that is now my work area. So I'm expanding.
You're the man. That's what I'm talking about.
You already got a great tool.
I still, so I went from 1,000 square foot basement to a 10 by 10 office. So, just to let you know, and part of it was because I do everything up in this office, so I was able to use a closet and keep a lot. John's seen my stuff today. I'm able to keep that stuff off to the side, out of the way. I've got shelves and stuff, and
it's actually a nice
it
setup
works for me. Thank you. And
Bee,
so,
help me out here. If I had to tell him what he needed in his basic tool bag, I'd say a tone and test tool so he could identify cables, right?
Well, if you're going to do businesses, yes. But, I mean, honestly, what you said earlier is really the key. Get what you need when you need it. You can obviously acquire a lot of stuff in terms of software tools, some CDs, some USB drives, so that you've got a lot of that in your tool bag. And when I started, that's exactly what I did. I had a tool bag, and I'd walk into somebody's place, and I had one rate just to show up, and if I had to open up the tool bag, it was another rate.
I love it.
And that's what they love. They say, oh, it's like a doctor's bag. And then you just basically build out the rest of the stuff that you need. And now, it sounds like you've already got a head start, opposed to what a lot of us started with. If you've got space in your place to work on systems, that's really all you need. And then you just You just start grabbing stuff as you need it. As you upgrade a customer's computer, laptop, or whatever, and they don't need it anymore, you just simply say to them, "Can I have it?" And
There
then
you
you add that to your pile of stuff to play with, learn on, and then you just start getting stuff that you need. And when you get to a point where you've got consistent revenue, then you can start going into the higher end stuff that you might need, whether it's, some sort of service to help you manage, customer systems, some higher end tools, things of that nature. Just it's and a lot of it depends on where you go, because I can tell you this: where you think you're going to go when you first start out, you may not end up going that road. You may have to take 2 or 3 different side tours to get there based on the customers you get. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got lucky. I had one school that called me up and said, "Hey, we need a computer lab." And I was like, okay. and I had to scramble to go find computers and do all this stuff, but that's what got me into networking, where I could go into businesses, because I could say, "Hey, I did a computer lab."
If I had a suggestion, I might say, while you're getting started and while you have the time, you start thinking about this, though. Like Jeff has talked about in the past, how he started to plan out his processes. So if you do get busy, what are you going to jump on? Use QuickBooks, with Repair Shopper, with, start maybe testing out some of the RMM tools, or you can hook up with one of us to look at Max Focus or Ninja or whatever we're using. That kind of stuff, if you really think you're going to get in.
Thanks to my wife that she is making me do a business plan, which is probably what I need to do. And,
absolutely.
Yes. I actually
Those are important.
Repair Shopper, since they do the 25 invoices a month for free, makes it really easy to learn it. And I've been looking at Ninja RMN, but I don't think I'm big enough for that. I don't think I would be for a while, and I don't know if they have small things or
Well, I'll hold on till beginning of next year. I'm working on some things, so we'll see where we can get with that next year. But there's now, John, you and I were checking out a couple. I think Komodo is still doing a free RMM tool right now.
You can start with Komodo and load that on your end users for free, and that would get you some free RMM and some free basic stuff just to start with. That would also make it a lot easier for you to switch over to another provider, because you could roll out your next provider with Komodo. Not that there's anything wrong with Komodo. That was our second choice, I think, Jeff, besides Ninja, with what we looked at.
Right, and quite honestly, as far as usability, I think we decided on Ninja. We'll talk about this in another show, but I think it was based on basically usability.
Yeah,
and it just seemed a little easier to kind of swallow. Now, John was in my office today, and I had to ask him, I go, "Dude, how do you do this? How do you start something in Ninja?" And because I just haven't had time to play with it as much as I want. And he's like, "Oh, you go here." And I'm like going, I never even saw that stupid little checkbox there. It was like grayed out, and as soon as you highlighted it, boom. Oh, there's all the commands. Okay, great.
That would be break fix. I'll be sending you my bill.
It's $150 an hour. Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'd like to add a few.
Go ahead.
So, have you decided on a business name yet, or are you planning on doing like an LLC down the road, or?
Good one.
Actually, I filed a home office permit. Probably just I haven't came up with a name yet. I'm doing like my name, Brett Hansen PC, and as for right now, that's probably what I'm gonna do. But I'm awful with names, so yeah.
So, just as a recommendation, which I wish I would have done in the beginning, was done a little bit more research on my business name. I love my business name, Control-Alt-Delete Computer Repair. However, I have one in California that has bad reviews, and I had one that tried starting up in 2 towns away from me, and I had to file cease and desist against them.
Oh.
So
that's a good point. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real good point. That's one of the first things I did was, and I'll be honest with you, the reason I picked my name, TechNut Computer Repair, and I actually just used because I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, so I just used the word TechNut LLC.
Yeah.
And that name was available in Michigan, which was fine.
And to finish my other thought, because I got lost, I spaced out there for a second.
Equipment.
Yeah, well, that too. So yeah, make sure you think about your business name and make sure it's not a common one or something that's already taken. You can do a lot of searches on the internet. Like I know the state of Michigan has, I believe it's Lara. You can search for other businesses that are close to your name. And then definitely make sure you're using some kind of contract form and that make sure you're getting that signed. And I reference this every show, I think, but the Technical Business Kit, I kind of use their form. And every client.
That was the first thing I bought.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's good because I mean that all the legal terms on the back that no one reads are a lifesaver if you ever were to get someone complaining or trying to sue you, or it just helps take care of a lot of the questions that they may have and what's covered, what's not, and that's what I really recommend though.
And don't start your pricing too cheap.
Yes.
Yeah, good point.
Do not start too cheap. If you want to start cheap,
I've heard that from you guys quite a bit, and I'm trying to.
My suggestion
not price
is,
too cheap.
yeah, set your price high, but then say, hey, for the first whatever amount of hours, I'll give you half off. Or, set your price somewhere and then say, hey, I'm the new tech in town. We're on a hunt for new customers, and give them half off for the first 10 or 20 billable hours if you want to try to get in the door. But don't start low because people don't like it when you raise their rates, but they'll feel good about getting a deal.
Now, would any of you guys recommend things like a static mat for? Now, Brett, are you going to do hardware repair?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to try to do my best because I love all things, everything from hardware to, not straight motherboard,
Gotcha.
capacitors, but,
It's not worth it for the prices you get that stuff for anyways.
Yeah, a good static mat, maybe a static wrist strap. They're not very expensive. Those are cheap things to start with.
Right.
I'm going to be the bad technician, and I had to buy a static mat from Radio Shack like last year to do a job for one of the IT platforms out there, OnForce. They required it. I've never used the thing since. I've never ever had a problem with. I always touch the case though, and the other point are that I'm always holding the case when I'm taking something out. So, but I've never had an issue with frying any components or anything.
I've been Mike.
I'm with you there too.
I've been just like that. The only reason I have a bench set up, and I bought a mat that would fit it, so it gives a little bit of padding when I'm taking apart the laptops when I flip them over on the plastic cover, and so it kind of serves a dual purpose. Do I think that the static electricity from my hands is going to zap through there? No, I do the same thing. I touch a piece of metal or the side or whatever. I've never had a problem. Now, I will tell you, I've talked to a couple different technicians that say when they pull apart an Apple computer, a Apple laptop, that they are they're very sensitive. So.
Yeah, for the $15 or $20 for a mat, just like you said, Jeff, I think it serves more purposes. Why not?
Yeah. Now, the wrist strap, I have one. I've never used it.
I wear it when I take apart a Mac.
Well, and that's the only reason I bought it. I don't do a whole lot of Macs, but I probably will when I do a Mac.
I try not to do a lot of Macs.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine's hanging right back there.
Do you use it, though?
I do.
Okay. All right. You're a good technician.
Wow.
Unlike us, or me.
I just fly by the seat of my pants, baby.
I'll be out here in a few shows next year. And watch next year. I'll fry something and come back saying you should always use an anti-static mat.
Exactly.
I usually eat pizza and have a Red Bull next to me too. So is that okay?
Pepsi.
It's horrible. I always have a mug of coffee or water. Yeah, one of the two.
And that's where in general liability insurance and air and emission come in.
Yes, and I also
I've heard a lot about that from you guys too.
And let me say this.
Insurance agent and a good accountant.
And let me say this, Brett. Don't do what we do. Just do what we say.
It's always the case.
Unless Marvin says it, you can do what Marvin tells you.
I'm very lucky with that. My mom is a very good accountant, so she
good.
offered to take care of my books for free.
Awesome.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, if you need it, as far as if you bought the Technical Computer Business Kit already, there's the forms in there. I basically got everything down to one sheet. So I have the customers will sign and fill out their information in the front, and then they flip it over, and contract is in the back, and they sign it and date it, and that's my legal binding copy that I keep in a file folder. And then once I put them in the repair shopper, if they're a returning customer, you can bring it up on a laptop, a tablet, phone, whatever, and you can have them jot their signature on there. Depending on the customer, I don't always do that, but I at least get one initial inked copy from that customer. I'm still a little bit old school. Sorry.
No, I understand completely. I'd rather have an ink copy of everyone and scan everything and then keep it in a safe place.
Yep.
That's kind of what my strategy is going to be.
Good. Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't talked about that you're kind of wondering about?
One more thing was as far as like a bench, is there any good how-tos or like computer desk bench? I can't seem to find much online, but I can find everyone's benches, but I don't know what I want and what would be good to start out with.
Are you looking for
got this.
or like a deck or a tech station, like a work table or like a tech station?
Probably work table right now.
So I will tell you, this is my opinion, and this is what I started off with, and I still have it in my basement even though I don't use it anymore, is when I started off, you can actually, for very inexpensive, you can get a Formica generic countertop from Home Depot, and you can just look this up online. You can build a cantilever frame, and depending on where you're putting this outside, it sounds like in a shed type thing, so there should be studs coming down the wall. You can take furring strips.
It's actually a full tiny house.
You can
whatever.
you can get the thin pine furring strips, very inexpensive and cheap, and just build a frame and cantilevers that basically bolt into the wall, so you can make it whatever height that you want. Or if you want to go a little bit above that, you can grab a couple cabinets, put those in, and you can actually put that Formica top right on top. And what I did was I drilled some holes with a hole saw and had all my cabling and stuff coming up through there. So that's kind of an inexpensive way, because in my opinion, a lot of little desks you'll get at Office Depot Office Depot, Office Max. I've got one only because it fits in my closet, and that's kind of the route I had to go with this. But I actually really liked my tables where I could spread everything out.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm getting out of this tiny little shit, because I can't spread out.
Gotcha. Now, Marvin, what do you use behind you there?
Well, this is actually a wire LAN station that I would get my customers. So we would put the tower servers on the bottom, and it's got a bench there. I think this one, I think that's about $600 because it's a 72 inches or 60 inches wide. But I like everybody else, I started out just basically, actually I got a door from Home Depot.
There you go.
And
that's a good idea too. That's
had some metal cabinets, and then I basically upgraded to a different type of wire rack station. And then when this customer was moving into another space, we got them another deal because they actually went to rack mount servers. So I got this, and but I was going to say, if you want to go look for the types of tables and desks that are available, globalindustrial.com, one of the big industrial type companies. They're basically like a Grainger, if you know what Grainger is. They will sell industry type tables that will work great for computer equipment. And they have different, they've got a computer furniture section, and they've got like a server, network cabinets and racks that you can go look at those online, globalindustrial.com, and just go to computer furniture and then network cabinets and racks, and there's hundreds of different types of racks on there that look, some of them are like that, some of them are different. But
now, Marvin, let me ask you a question. Are you still able to get up and down by putting the desktops on the floor there?
Listen, you young whippersnapper.
I'll be honest.
We'll take care of him in Florida.
I'll be honest though. The reason, part of what I did was when I built the stations with at the time it was when I moved up to a Formica table, I used flat screen monitors, and I had the wires and everything coming up, so I could set the desktop on the table, so I didn't actually have to set it underneath because I didn't want to get down on my hands and knees.
No, that's only for the servers. There's still plenty of space up there to throw a desktop up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
But remember, I'm migrating to MSP, so I don't touch workstations.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Exactly.
I got my start when I was about 14, working at child labor as a computer tech at a friend's place, and as for it was a mess. But he was a good tech, and I just didn't like the fact that he was just a mess. Like, everything was falling and this and that, and that's kind of where I want my business to be a little different, is I don't want it to be bad to look at.
Right.
I mean, wires everywhere, that's fine. But as far as, like, things falling, and that's not me.
Well, as long as you have the time and you can set up that infrastructure from the beginning, you can set that stuff up. What ends up happening is a lot of people get into business, they get really busy, and that stuff becomes less important because they're busy all the time. So it's hard for them to clean that up. So as you're starting off, if you can set that up from the beginning, then you'll be way ahead, and then you won't have to worry about going back in and redoing all that stuff and trying to keep it clean.
Okay, perfect.
All right, Brett. Well, I appreciate you calling the show. Yeah, and thanks for asking the question.
Good luck, Brett. Yeah.
No problem. All right, you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. No, not next Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, not next Sunday. Sunday after that. All right, have a good one.
Hey, he fits right in. He's a smart ass already. I like this. Great. He's going to be
Alec,
just fine.
Smart Alec.
All right.
Family
Smart
friendly.
Alec.
Oh, man.
There goes our podcast right there.
There goes my licensing. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
PG-13 now.
All right. Well, I think we've had a great and long show, and I hope that you guys have gotten something out of this, and I hope that you like our humor. And if you don't, I really don't care. But but it's fine. We're here for everyone to hopefully learn something from each other and, make things a little bit better. I learn stuff every week, so I have a great time listening to these guys talk, and that's why I bring them on, because if you guys just had to listen to me talk, it would be horrible. I would just make jokes all the time and laugh, and wait, that's what I do now. And so with that being said, Mike, if people want to find out what you're all up to, where could they do that?
On the internet, they can find me. Google me. If anyone want to get a hold of me, my name is Mike. I'm the owner of Control-Alt-Delete Computer Repair over in Saginaw, Michigan. I can be reached by going to our website at controlaltdeleterepair.com. They can also email me at info@controlaltdeleterepair.com or call 989-272-2615.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming out today and sharing with us. It's been awesome.
Yep.
And John, where could people find you?
Mavengroup.net.
These guys are so simple. And appreciate you coming out today and sharing with us. As again, always good insight. Enjoyed having you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks to everybody. And in the chat, some new guys were talking about maybe coming on the show, and I'll just extend that invitation. I'll do your first show with you if you want.
There you go. So, there's
not
an offer on the
some
table
sort of
right
pro,
now.
but more the merrier. I mean, Jeff's kind of a jerk the first time, so I'll be there to coach you through it.
It's rough. All right, and Marvin Bee, where can people find you at?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Come on down and enjoy the sunshine.
I don't really like swimming, but I can almost envision myself coming down there and actually jumping in. You have a pool, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, we're so in. Okay, cool.
Is there people in Florida that don't have pools?
I don't know. Let me ask my mom and dad. So people can find you at maninthevan.net, right?
Maninthevan.net.
All right. And that's your wonderful website that we finally got you to update. And looks great.
Yeah, I got to do some more updating, I guess.
All right. You guys can come join us live for the Computer Repair Podcast every Sunday except for next at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at podnutz.com/live. Join in on the conversation by calling in live and hanging out in the chat room. We have audio available over at podnutz.com or subscribe using your favorite podcatcher. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Computer Repair Podcast. You can email questions and feedback, and we love those, to podnutz@podnutz.com. Or you can leave a voicemail at 1-888-697-0162. And I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. We appreciate what you are doing. And you also can support this show by going to patreon.com/Computer Repair Podcast. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. I don't know if that was our longest show ever, but darn near.
It's our longest phone call ever.
That was a good call.
That was awesome. Yeah,
Well, guys,
perfect.
I got to take off.
Hey, Mike, appreciate you coming out. And like I said before, if you got some Sundays available, just shoot me an email. Say I'm available on this Sunday, or this Sunday.
I will accept I'm available whenever you need me. That's how my email always goes, Jeff.
I know it.
Right?
You're right. Oh. No,
Merry Christmas, Mike.
Yep, Merry Christmas.
Same to you guys. It was great. Sorry I didn't talk too much. My voice isn't working right these days, but have a Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year.
You did great, man.
Yeah, we'll test your stuff out when you get a chance there, and we'll see what.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that, Jeff. So I appreciate it, guys. See you later.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Wait, he kind of singled us right out. Did you hear that?
What's that?
We'll do that, Jeff. Jeez, B and I. Out. Actually, I need to test my Skype setup with you two.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think. Do I still have you in Skype?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Cool, man.
It's just got to be something with the modern apps and the desktop fighting each other. So.
Telly told me that the other day that they actually brought the modern app, Skype app, back. I was kind of I was glad it kind of went away because I had both running and they were both plugged into different accounts. So they're
both on the same account. But the cool thing about the new modern app, now that I'm rocking a Windows phone, though, is it brings a lot of my messaging over to the platform, just like Google Talk does. So
wait a minute. You have a Windows phone and you didn't show it to me today?
I do have a Windows phone.
Why didn't you show it to me?
You didn't ask.
I gotta ask to see yours. Is that what you're saying?
You show me yours. I'll show you mine.
Right.
I'm not
Anyways,
sure.
all right. Well, I think I'm going to stop the live broadcast. We went on for long enough. People are going to look at this video and go, "Oh my gosh, this is huge. What did these guys talk about?" Well, come check it out. All right. We'll see you on January 3rd, 2016, and we'll be kicking off the year. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a great one. Bye.